How's it going, everybody? Welcome to OP Entertainment. I'm Omar Darwish.
I'm Pratik Cherian.
And this is our review of Banshees of Inisherin. Not Ed Sheeran. I got it right.
There you go.
We're going to go spoiler-free on this.
For the 5 of you that are
Can you imagine somebody watching this that hadn't seen the movie? I imagine everybody, all our 2 people that are watching this, they've seen the movie and they just want to talk about it with somebody.
Probably.
For those 2 people, I feel bad because most...
Hit us up in the comments. Hit us up in the comments. All right, let's get into it.
Most people seem to be loving this movie. I was expecting to at least enjoy this movie more than I did, so it's kind of a spoiler for how I feel about it. And here's what I'll say. Before I let you get any word in. This feels to me like an SNL sketch that was just stretched for 2.5 hours.
You need to watch SNL more because you've used that example for like the last 5 reviews we've done.
Is it not accurate? That's exactly what this is. It's literally it's a bit. It's a bit.
It's so much better written than that.
This movie is I wouldn't even argue, it's a well-written bit. And I remember thinking to myself towards like the middle of the first act, I'm like, okay, I get what they're doing here, but like, is this gonna be able to be a whole movie? And the answer is no. That's how I feel. Go on.
I think this is a movie that, first of all, it is definitely one of the most depressing movies that I've watched start to finish.
Go on.
But I think this movie is very hard to talk about. I think it's well written, it's well acted, and there's a lot of like really good scenes in it, but a lot of good scenes don't equal a good movie. And I think that's the issue. Like, there's a lot of like dialogue scenes that are just really, really good and really sharp. But then there's like right after that scene, there'll be like 5 minutes of nothing.
Because when you're saying the writing is good, you're talking about the dialogue,
like the script
alone. I wouldn't say the narrative of this is good. The story of this is
like the actual
good.
like script.
The dialogue. You're right. Yeah. The dialogue, the actors, the chemistry between all the actors. I felt like they got everybody.
You could probably even go so far as to say just like the overall world building was really sharp here.
Sure. I mean, yes. I would. I guess if you told me there was another movie in this world that was going to be a different director and a different writing team,
not even that. If I told you, because this is set in like 1920s Ireland, right?
Sure. It feels like that.
Yeah, it feels like that. If I told you like, oh yeah, you want to get an idea of like life in 1920s Ireland, here's this movie. Like
that might be what the movie does best, actually. Yeah. If not, maybe 4 or 5 like pretty good laughs I had throughout the film. The score, I want to talk about one thing here. The score of this movie, did it not get to you? The score of this movie is literally dun 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 dun. Am I wrong? And then every transition scene, I'll call them, which speaking of, there's a million of them, and they're all, hey, someone walking from one point to another on a stone path or between grass, and this dun dun dun. It highlights how simple and how boring the score is. And I never realized how much of a score guy I was until I started watching all these movies with shitty scores. Like, dude, like what? This movie seemed. I'm not gonna rant, but this movie does seem like they got these actors together. They did a chemistry test, and they're like, oh, they're awesome. We could definitely make a good movie with this. And they just didn't try to make a good movie. They all just showed up to set and they kind of bantered, and they made what they could, but. This is the team behind In Bruges, which is I haven't seen, but it's a pretty well beloved movie. So I mean,
this is supposed to be,
and this is pretty well beloved. So I'm like, man, this must not be my guy. I don't know.
I'm wearing the comic book shirt. We do comic book movies. We don't understand cinema. That's what this is.
Yeah. I don't even. What is this? What is this? I guess I'm curious because I haven't.
Keep going.
I haven't watched any reviews. I haven't read any reviews for this.
Neither.
I've just seen that people were going crazy for it, and the Rotten Tomatoes score was 100% for a while.
Yeah.
Even after 80 to 90 reviews, it still had 100%. So I was like, all right, let's see what this is all about. And I wasn't expecting it to be incredible, but
I think the biggest thing that hinders this movie. I think there's 2 things working in tandem to hinder this movie. One is I think there's a real lack of narrative focus,
for sure,
and that makes it hard to there's parts where you're interested in certain characters' dynamic with each other, and then everything else you're just kind of waiting to get back to what you're interested in. And then I think the other thing that really hurts it is beyond just the lack of narrative focus. Is there's just it doesn't have a message to it. Like, it
No
doesn't feel like
message.
the movie's trying to say anything.
You know what it is? It feels like the movie is trying to say something, but then it will switch to something else very quickly.
Yeah, right. There's not like one singular cohesive thought, or like there's no thesis to this movie. It's just like characters say a bunch of things that you could like extrapolate to be like, oh, that's what the movie's trying to say. But all of those things are different and don't have anything to tie them together.
It almost feels like the script was written over like a long period of time, and like they were like, whoever wrote this was like, oh yeah, they got like 10 pages in. They were like, I like that message. I'll get back to it, but let's focus on this message now.
There was a point in this, maybe about 2/3 of the way into this movie, where I was sitting there going, who's the main character of this movie? Like, I thought I knew who it was, but I'm not sure.
So
Yeah.
if you want to argue the main character is Colin Farrell,
Yeah.
I felt like his character was just like too dumb. Is that too mean to say? He's supposed to be a dumb character, right? He's supposed, what do they call him? Simple, or what do they call him? Dull. They call him dull, right?
Yeah.
And I just felt like some of the things he does in this just felt very out of character. And I don't know. And it feels like there's supposed to be some sort of underlying message behind what happens with these characters, right? And I just, when there isn't that message that you're talking about, it's like, okay, well, then what was this? Why did anybody make the choice? There's no justification for like any of the choices anybody makes in this movie, and that's like all you gotta know.
There's a lot of things that happen that you're just like, I don't know that any reasonable person would act like that.
Yeah. You're like, well, if you're doing this because of that, then why would you do this?
Yeah.
There's a lot of that.
That happens several times in this
We're
movie.
good at doing spoiler free. Somebody's watching this like, what the hell are they talking about? Listen, if you're watching this and you haven't seen the movie, go watch it, if for anything, so we have someone to talk about this with. I would love for somebody in the comments to be like, I love this movie and here's why. Because
Here's my number. Let's FaceTime.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, hit us up. Number's below. But I don't know. If you heard they were making a sequel to this, would you be in?
No.
Why though?
Because
Yeah,
I'm just not. I don't know.
I hear you. It's
Yeah.
This movie just didn't do enough in any aspect. Like I feel like it tried to do something and it just didn't.
Yeah, and like I said, there's a lot of individually good parts to it. It's not like it's completely devoid of anything.
If you take
good.
out the funny parts, though, are there
Sure.
that many? There's like one or two lines of dialogue.
Like we were saying, yeah. There's a couple. I think there's a couple scenes that kind of draw on some kind of deeper meaning in life. And again, if you take those scenes in isolation, like if you were watching on TikTok and like that scene came up and that's it, you're done. First of all, you're not staying to the end of the scene, it's TikTok. But if you were, like, I think you'd be like, oh, that movie seems kind of interesting. Like, you know.
If not for like literally how many scenes there are where people are just walking and the score is playing, the most simple score is playing in the background, I'm just like, are they trying to make me fall asleep? I felt like that a couple of times. I'm like, oh god, okay, I gotta wake up now because
I said this to you moment. I said this to you off camera, but it reminded me at times of like the way that like Lighthouse like put you into their situation and like made you feel what they were feeling. There were times where like those long walks and very simple score, I'm like, are they trying to talk about like the simplicity of life and how these people are just like like this? And I'm like, I guess you could, but why are they doing that? I don't know. There's really no point to it.
We're saying the difference though is that Lighthouse like fully commits to this tone, whereas this movie doesn't commit at all to any sort of tone. And maybe that's just the director's style and I need to watch more of his work. But
maybe
I felt like they just didn't commit to it being dour. They didn't commit to it being funny.
It's a tragic comedy is what it is.
Whereas if you're going to label it that, maybe a couple more jokes. I don't know. I don't know what I wanted from this, but it didn't do it.
It's a very, very difficult line to hit. And I think that you need to have, in order to actually make that style work, again, you need to have like a narrative focus that draws us in and not just like, I'm interested in this one character and that's it.
Like this would have been a great 30-minute episode of an anthology show, right? Versus an SNL sketch, I guess. But making it...
Maybe 45.
Right, but making it a 2.5 hour, what felt like a 3-hour movie. I don't know how long this was. But
I think it was just about 2.
Dude, it felt long. And yeah, just mostly because of those scenes where it's just like nothing is happening. I'm gonna
steal your favorite line, but like the pacing was all over the place in this. Like it actually was.
And you know what's funny is first act, I thought it was moving really well. Like we weren't getting anywhere, but we were moving from scene to scene at a good pace. And like then it just, after anything happened, you'd be like, oh, well, now we know we got a moment of Bruce Banner walking away music's about to play, and that's all it is. And it's like, tell me that's not half of this movie.
No, you're right.
Half of this movie is a silent film of walking. or on a buggy.
Not that bad, but okay. You want to score it? Get out of here. You got more you want to say?
Actually, you know what's funny is I'm ripping into this movie, but I didn't hate it as much as I'm like coming across. I'm thinking more of like I'm thinking like a 6. Maybe even 5, but like because I laughed the amount that I did, I would give it a 6. But I'm thinking about Barry Keoghan's character now and how he annoyed me so much.
But he did
He's
really good.
supposed to be annoying for sure.
That's his, and he nailed it.
He shows up and I'm like, is this tasteful? But then I'm like, oh no, he's just like simple, I guess. And that's a lot of characters in this movie. But I did not jive with him. I was endeared to him like towards the end, but yeah, he just didn't need to. Yeah. He didn't need to be there. He committed for sure.
He did.
Just like Jesse Eisenberg did as Lex Luthor. It's the same thing.
Like I said, I thought the acting, I thought the actors all gave their all into this role, into these characters.
Yeah.
Like I can't point to a performance and be like, that's not a great performance. But
yeah, the performance, that's what I'm saying. Like I've never seen a movie where like so much was done right and it's this like, not unwatchable. It seems harsh. I just can't think of a, I just can't think of a word. I can't think of a word for this movie. So you want to go and score it?
Yeah, I'm right with you. I think I'm giving it a 6. Maybe on rewatch you can talk me into 7. Maybe somebody who like loves this can like sit down and watch it with me and be like, all right, this is what you're missing.
Pause it
like,
every 2 seconds and be like,
yeah.
I bet you we're gonna watch and see like there's this like Greek mythology undertones.
There feels like a lot of symbolism in this movie.
For sure.
But again, it doesn't feel cohesive enough, and I think that's just such a detractor.
Like if you find out though that this movie is based on some sort of like Irish myth or something, is that gonna change your opinion? That's what I'm saying. The movie didn't do enough with it.
Yeah.
The concept is fine, not enough with it. So that's my last 2 cents on it.
All right, you want to take us out?
All right, guys. Well, we'll see you guys next week for hopefully maybe another movie review. We've got some things coming.
Oh, we don't have there's not a specific movie.
Oh my God, is next week Black Panther?
Let's go.
Let's go, Black Panther. Oh, see, now I'm happy. Let's go. Don't even watch this one, guys. See you next week.
See that.
Don't even watch this video you just watched. Yeah.
See ya.
See ya. Of course, perfect. Leave it in. Okay, we'll do it live.